So how many of you are non-existent right now? You don't exist. Anybody? Non-existent? Right at the back, Meera? Not existing? Even in full-on tantrum, you exist. You have to exist. Isn't it? You too. And big anxiety, all that happening. But first you have to exist for all of that to happen, isn't it? So that is what I'm talking about. Don't you know that you exist? Do you have to know it in your head? You don't know it. I mean, you may know it in your head, but that is irrelevant. Yes? But that existence is known in a different knowledge source, which later we'll give it a fancy word, but right now don't have to bother. So anybody who feels like they're non-existent can raise their hands or they can leave the satsang. There's nobody like that. So this knowledge of being or presence or God is that simple. You see? Except when you become mental about it, mindy about it. Or when you want something out of it. Simple. Now, are you aware or no? You're aware? Finish. You see? Again, you did not perceive this awareness, and nor did you have to think about it. It is something which is recognized in a more primal way. So, to come to God, to come to being, to come to consciousness, to come to presence, is simply to recognize your very existence, your very presence. And to see that I am aware even of that, independent of being and not being, is to discover that pure self, the pure awareness, which is your very true nature, whatever your mind may say about it. That is the crux of all of this, and it is super simple. Super simple. The rest of it is just dealing with but. You see, and that but is about desire. It is about what I want, even from this. So whether we call it expectation or resistance or conditions, it doesn't matter. Now your being, that is just being. It is just being. Without an idea of anything at all, how can it suffer? Try to, as your being, suffer without any idea. Anybody who succeeds can raise their hand. I want to see a being that can suffer notionlessly in the unborn. You can do it. I realize I can sense the buds are starting to rise, but stay with me for a bit. Stay with me. You can see that this being is untroubled. Is untroubled. This very moment, without doing any sadhana, pranayam, nothing needed in this moment, you are untroubled, unhassled by anything. Yes? You could have started 5 minutes ago in some deep sort of mental maze, as if I'm stuck in a big chakra view, But just simply to recognize that my being is just being, wants nothing, it needs nothing, it has no boundary, it has no limitation, it is not opposed to anything, it is not for anything. Just are. Okay. Then now try to make yourself suffer. Your being is just too free. It's not allowed like that. It's too free, too soon, not allowed. So suffer a bit. How will you do it? How will you do it? So you may get a thought. It may say, but I am suffering. Or it's not that easy. He doesn't understand my life or my situation. Some thought like that you need, at least something. Isn't it? So believe it, believe it. Identify it. You can do it if you try hard enough. But even if you did believe, and even if you did suffer, right now, all gone. What kind of magic is this? You could have suffered for a long time, but right now, your being is back to full being, full power. So it is not in time. You are not in time. So you come to what I'm pointing to instantly, and whatever process has to be taken care of, let that be my problem. You don't worry about things that are in time. Let time be my problem. That's it. Now, if you take on projects which you don't need to take on, which is to uh, make yourself always happy or stay in this state constantly, or some nonsense idea like that, you see, then you will invite yourself to become an object in time again, because then you're concerned about always and constantly and all these things in time. And what do you have to take yourself to be? To think that you have to always be happy, you have to take yourself to be what? You're not saying, oh, God's presence that is here should always be happy. You're talking again about yourself as a body mind, as an object in time, in space. But what you're recognizing yourself to be, this being, where is it sitting? In which space is it? Inside? Some of you saying inside. Being is inside, but inside what? I can tell you that inside the body is just more bodily things. Blood, flesh, bones. So it is inside you, but not in space. Inside you, but not in time. And therefore, we have to use terms like inside provisionally. Actually, to what you are, there is no such thing as inside or outside. Okay? Now, that's it. That's all that we need to really say. But one important tip I want to give you is that if you go to the wrong instrument, you will only get the wrong measurements. Okay? So, what are the wrong instruments for truth? As we call the truth, what are the wrong instruments? What are the wrong instruments? Everything that you can use is the wrong instrument. Everything you think you can use or try or put effort, you see, that's why I say if you try, you've already gone too far. If you're trying, you've already gone too far. So anything you can use, which is I can use my sight. Where is it? Where is it? Where is myself? I can use my sight and I can look for everything that sight can go to, but I will not find the self. Same with hearing, same with touch, same with taste, same with feel, same with everything. Okay? So understand that. The second thing is that you can use your head. I will think of God, I will believe in God, I will convince myself that I am Brahman itself. It will not help. That is the wrong instrument. Anything else you got? Any other tools? Try and use the body, do some hatha yoga and pranayama and things like that. It may make you a little peaceful, peace of mind, all those things may come. but it is not so that you come to the direct discovery of God. What else can you use? You may say, I can use my intuition. But actually you can't. You can't use your intuition. When you stop using your other stuff, then intuition is apparent. You can't go to a misintuition and say, intuition, please help me. You see, I'm going to use you. Another child, she wrote to me the other day, she said, I'm trying to intuitively grasp something. See, and this is when this point became apparent here, that actually it is another mind trick, subtle as it may be. Because the minute we say, I'm intuitively trying to grasp something, it is not intuition. The mind grasps. Intuition doesn't need to grasp. Divine intelligence, your true intelligence, there's no question of grasping over there. So grasping is the way to suffer. So don't let your mind convince you that, okay, I'm going to try and use my intuition about this and uh, and try to solve this with my intuition or something like that. So that is one tip, that if you're trying to use intuition, it is not intuition. When you stop trying, intuition becomes apparent. Okay. And the second tip is, don't use intuition to try and be right. Oh, I went to my intuition, but intuition said it's going to rain tomorrow. You see, so or it was supposed to rain today according to my intuition, and then my intuition needs some servicing or maintenance because it didn't rain today. It's not for things like this. So intuition will just guide you in a way that is most auspicious to you. It is not concerned with your idea of true and false or right and wrong. As I've been saying these days, what do you find without your mind? If you found yourself right now, how would you know? So to expect perceptual byproducts to confirm our freedom is another trap that spiritual seekers fall into. And perceptual byproducts can seem very compelling. Close your eyes, ask yourself, who am I? And then all space, 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 everywhere. Forget about it. If you can perceive it, it is not. Okay? Because when that space doesn't come after who am I, you will say inquiry stopped working for me. The inquiry was not what is space. Because who are you that witnesses even space? Is that spacious? Sometimes provisionally we have to use these words like space. But it's not, the mind can make like outer space out of it, but that's not the space. So if you cannot rely on perception to confirm your freedom, then what can you rely on? Huh? Nothing, nothing. Are you aware now? That confirmation comes from what? It's just very natural. You see, when we say by itself, we're just saying it's so organic that we didn't really have to use our minds or our perceptual tools. You see? And because it is that organic, we don't value it. Most of humanity doesn't value it. You see? But that insight is your intuitive insight. What is simplest? Simplest. Sitting where you are is simple enough. Yes, I am sitting. Simple enough. What is one step simpler than that? I am. Even to sit or stand, you actually have to take yourself to be this body and then look at the perception of the body and confirm, I am sitting, without needing to do that. You can confirm that you are, isn't it? Is it just sounding like words, or are you all with me? You are confirming that you are sitting. You're not confirming that, oh, some guy is sitting. No, I am sitting. Now, first you have had to confirm I am before you can add sitting, standing, lying down, talking, listening, all that. All the verbs will come later, isn't it? I am. And how simply you confirm it. I am. This I am is the holy I. Is the presence of God itself. That's why suffering is actually a ludicrous sort of concept. God is sitting here in your heart. Let's you like just to be a bit poetic. In your heart, the greatest being in the universe, the only being in the universe, is there. And yet, after identifying, after taking itself to be what the mind is proclaiming, it seems like we are this such tiny, insignificant object. But even to say I am not getting it, I am has to be first recognized. So even in that one statement, as you traverse the statement, you got it. I. That's it. You didn't have to go any further. Then I am also no trouble. You're still at being. So being, no trouble. Anything you add after that is where the trouble starts. I am getting it, but I get lost sometimes. Nonsense. So who is not here right now? I don't even mean attentively. Even to not pay attention, you have to be. So I'm not confusing being with attention also. You may say, I'm here, but I'm not being attentive. Because my sixth chakra was opening up. So I couldn't really hear what you were saying. But still, you have to be there to notice even that, isn't it? So you are here. Now this you, if you take it to be body, mind, or limited in any way, you'll cause yourself trouble. If you don't take yourself to be any of that, there is no trouble. And to take yourself means you have to bring both attention and belief to some piece of nonsense. Both attention and belief. Oftentimes I use the example of bank lockers, where you have to turn the key and the banker has to turn the key and then the locker opens. So if you just bring your attention to nonsense, oh, I'm just this little old me, what's going to happen, you see, just with attention. But without attention, nothing. You don't perceive it anyway. It is attention is the light of perception. So once you perceive it, nothing can force you to buy into it. No matter how much the thought comes and says, no, no, I believe happens on its own. You see, I can't help it. All of that stuff is taking yourself to be what? Not God for sure, not being for sure. You see? It's already selling to you that you are little old me. How can you help believing a thought? Belief just happens automatically. 10 years I've heard this. You see, 10 years I've heard this. And yet all the masters tell us the same thing. Guruji says, don't identify, don't log in. Now, if it is not possible for you to do it, why would he say that? I say, don't believe your next thought. If it is not possible for us to do as consciousness, why would we say it? Bhagavan said, only one choice you have to make, which is not to go with your stream of thoughts. And Papaji said, keep quiet, which also meant the absence of egoic belief, not the words coming out of your mouth. So all the masters are telling us the same thing. Do you feel like they're that silly to keep repeating this pointing, but you can't do it? So the masters spend their whole life sharing this with you, but actually they know you. You see, there's one difference between how you are hearing it and how it is being said. You are taking yourself to be a body mind. The masters are saying we are one consciousness. Consciousness speaking with consciousness. Everything is in the will of consciousness. Belief and attention report to consciousness. So it is completely up to you as consciousness to let go of the limited notions which by its own design of the mind is producing constantly. Nothing can force consciousness to identify. So being independent of these notions is freedom. Taking itself to be definable or conceptualizable by any notion is apparent bondage, not really. So that's the game that is going on here. Now, what can be left? Recognition, simple. Are you aware now? The trick in this question is that your mind will not admit to its success or potency. It may also, but really not full-heartedly, because it is not witness to it. But because your discovery of yourself as awareness is not perceivable and yet completely confirmable, that's why the mind says either no, nothing happened, or it cannot be that simple. Because it is a habit in the human condition to take seeing to be believing. But the seeing, the recognition of awareness is not dependent on sight. It is that which is aware even of sight. Don't use your mind. Don't rely on your senses. Now, and even for the confirmation, don't rely on your mind. I'm the only one finding it fun. But you see, what we do is we say, okay, I'm going to let go. Let the thoughts say what they want. Let my perceptions be whatever. Now, what is happening to me? Who is going to confirm that? Who will we rely on to confirm that? Not the same ones, no? Not the same instruments which we let go of. We do that often. We let go. Then, what am I perceiving now because I let go? Or we let go, and then you're like, okay, is it clear to me? Who am I? Am I Brahman? Am I Brahman? It's not like that. How will you confirm whether you're discovering or not? Cannot be to go back to the wrong guy. No? The snake oil salesman you didn't want to buy from. You don't go to the same snake oil salesman and say, Am I doing a good job avoiding you buying from you? No, you obviously you don't do that. Now feel without using the mind. Fail at this. Fail at discovering God or truth or yourself without using the mind. How will you do it? Lose yourself, or don't be clear about who you are without using the mind. Succeeding at feeling? Yeah? Can't feel. Can't feel. Because the truth is so simple, but it is subtler than your mind can fathom. But it's not too subtle for you. Okay, succeed without using your mind. It doesn't even feel like success or some achievement or something. It's so natural. Then it is just as simple as that. This is actually all the instruction you ever need. All the instruction you ever need. Whose being is it? Whose being is it? And the owner of the being, please reveal itself. Whose presence is in your heart? Are they two? This space, this is unshakable, is just an appearance within the space that you are, which is not spatial like this. It's just an appearance within yourself, and you are subtler than this space also. So how can something like this shake you? They can't even shake this space. It's only if you take yourself to be another set of perceptions, then you can also shake. When we say that I am this phone, you see, then if I take myself to be this phone, and as consciousness, I have full power to take myself to be whatever, you see, then something can come in life which will shake the phone. You know? If I feel like I'm the phone, then I feel like I'm the phone. See, because that is identification. See, you can never identify with the truth. You can only identify with the false. You can only drop the identification with the false, and then you come to the truth. But you don't need to identify with the truth. In fact, you can't do it because it's not perceivable, and thoughts don't apply there. So it is not a question of switching identification. It is only a question of dropping identification. As Bhagavan clearly said, to come to the discovery of the truth, only ignorance has to be dropped. The self doesn't have to be attained. It is not something that you will attain or be convinced about. It is only that your misidentification will be kept aside or dropped away. Now you have the ability to identify with anything. Anything that you perceive. There's nothing so, I mean, it's very compelling because of the centrality of the visual perspective and the sensational seeming stimuli that seems to arise from the body. To take this object as the center of my identity,